I used to believe that whenever a man stopped chasing me or wasn't chasing me while dating, that it had everything to do with my outward appearance. My outward appearance, such as me not being thick enough, right? Me not being pretty enough, or even me not being light skinned enough for him. And I never thought any deeper than that. I never thought that maybe some of the things that I was doing played a part in why I was not being chosen. But today, what I'm sharing with you is the 5 things that I had to unlearn to stop being my own walking red flag. I realized that I was the red flag. And a lot of that had to do with my own beliefs and thoughts about myself. And it all centered around me not being enough. And that showed up in a lot of facets of my life, me not being enough. Not only did it show up in my beliefs about myself, it also showed up in me not being able to set boundaries. And it also showed up in the lack of me being able to speak up for myself when people said things or tried to treat me a certain way. It showed up in different facets of my life. And so what I've identified now is that all of these 5 things are attached to an anxious attachment style. That is where I was many years ago. And let's be real, I'm still working through some of these things, but I started. They don't come up as often, thank God. But I started working on these things in my early 30s. I'm now 48. So I've had a lot of time to identify what was happening back then so I can stop making the same mistakes over and over again. I've learned to be able to show up in that light a lot better these days at 48 versus late 20s, early 30s, and even into mid 30s. I stopped struggling with a lot of these things because I was just like, I finally understood. I found my voice. I found my power. I identified that my anxious attachment style was holding me back from the very thing that I wanted. And all 5 of these things I'm getting ready to share with you stemmed from my anxious attachment style. Before I tell you what my 5 things I had to unlearn, I would love to hear what are some of the things that you had to unlearn yourself. Comment down in the comment section below some of the things that you had to unlearn in order to be a part of a healthy relationship. Without further ado, let's jump into the first thing that I had to unlearn. The first thing that I had to unlearn was that being in your partner's space and face all the time can be detrimental to the relationship. And I say that because I felt like if I wasn't in his face or in his space, that he wasn't thinking about me, or that he was entertaining someone else or something else, right? He couldn't be by himself. I didn't understand that me time is so essential for all of us to be able to maintain our individuality or autonomy in the relationship. I didn't understand that it's just really healthy to be able to be off by yourself, be able to sit and think in silence, to be able to reflect on some of the things that are happening in the relationship, as well as some of the things that are not happening in the relationship, and just in life in general. So not just about your relationship with your partner, but just in your life. It's really healthy for me time and downtime and just quiet, not being bothered. Just being you. So for me, I just wanted to be Marshawn. I didn't want to be wife. I didn't want to be girlfriend, right? For a period of time, and I should say he, because I'm talking about the things that I had to unlearn. Now I know that, but previously I struggled with this because I was just like, well, if I'm not with him, then who's he with? And for me, it wasn't always the blaming, like he has to be out there doing something with somebody, for some other woman or whatever. It wasn't really that. It was just, I wanted to be in a relationship and I wanted to be in your space and I wanted you to know that I wanted to be in your space. And it wasn't that he didn't know, but I didn't know that he knew that. That was something that I had to work on. That was something that I had to come to grips with. Marshawn, you don't always have to be in his face and in his space in order to feel like he's going to choose you day after day, night after night, moment after moment. Me time is healthy. The second thing that I had to learn when it came to, or I should say, the second thing I had to unlearn when it came to creating a healthy relationship is that you ain't got to buy gifts. So when I was younger, this was definitely in my late 20s, even early 30s. I thought that I would, whenever I was dating and I really liked the person, I would go and buy him a gift. It wasn't necessarily the most expensive, but it was always a gift. And I noticed that I had a pattern of purchasing gifts. And so this is one of the things that I had to unlearn, because what I found or unearthed from purchasing gifts and giving gifts was that I was competing for his love. I was performing for his love versus looking for partnership. I was in performance. I was thinking about things like, well, if I do this, then he's going to recognize the good woman that I actually am. And later on, it connected the dots with me competing for him to choose me versus choosing another woman over me, because I'm giving gifts. And the gifts could have been an actual gift that I went out to purchase. It could have been like, come over, let me cook. Let me make sure that you have eaten. Now, he wasn't my husband. So, like, what am I doing? I'm buying gifts. I'm buying food. I'm doing all these things to make sure that he sees me so he won't leave me. Again, that fear of abandonment, that fear of not being chosen. And so I had to recognize that I am enough. I'm enough. Period. I don't have to compete with other women. I don't have to give gifts in order for him to see me. He's either going to see me or he's not. Yeah. One of the other things that it started to do was it started to create a give or take relationship. And I was the giver and they were the taker. And I noticed this particular thing showed up in several relationships and dating relationships. It showed up that I was buying gifts and giving gifts, and that giver taker, it was like, well, they would take the gift. And what I also noticed is that it wasn't reciprocated. And so then, even though he didn't ask me to buy the gift, in the back of my mind was like, well, what my gift at? You ain't buying me nothing. You don't see me like that. And it wasn't necessarily the same time where I gave a gift. I was looking for a gift, but over a period of time, again, wasting energy and time on people that I didn't need to waste energy and time on. But it finally dawned on me that he didn't ask you to do that. That was something that you wanted to do. And so I was trying to buy being seen. I was trying to buy his love without realizing that's what I was actually doing. So that was one of the things I had to unlearn. The third thing that I had to unlearn was clinginess is not sexy. I was super clingy and needy, again, all stemming from the anxious attachment style, the fear of not being chosen and or abandoned, walking away from all of that stuff. And so I did not realize the very thing that I wanted so badly, which was to be in the relationship, to be chosen, to be seen, to be out in the world with somebody that's happy to have me on their arm, that I was repelling the very thing that I wanted, which was the relationship, which was the man. And in my times of being clingy, I struggled with the silence. I struggled with the alone time. I was always around people from the time that I was born up until the age of 27. So briefly, I was come from a large family, went to the U.S. Navy, got out of the U.S. Navy at 21, but also met and married my ex-husband. We were together, married until the age of 27, and I was around somebody all the time. And so at the age of 27, roughly 28, I had to, or I should say, that was my very first experience with being alone, in solitude. The things coming up that I wasn't aware would come up because I was always around noise, and I never had downtime to reflect and sit in silence and reflect on the things that are coming up. So I would actually run away from it. I literally would not stay in my apartment unless I needed to go to sleep because I was not used to being alone. I was not used to solitude. I was super clingy, and I would often ask, like, how come you didn't text me back when I text you? Or how come you didn't call me back when I called you? Or I called you, like, you didn't see me call you. So it was just like sarcasm. But again, always needed to be in his face and in his space, not realizing that I was repelling the very thing that I really wanted, not allowing things to flow naturally, not giving him a chance to say, you know what, I had a shitty day today. I really didn't feel like being bothered. Not giving him the opportunity to be able to say these things to me because I was so busy focused on me and my needs not being met that I never even leaned into trying to figure out what was going on with him. Whenever our communication dwindled, didn't matter the reason because I didn't give him a chance to explain, I automatically assumed that he was ghosting me. I 100% made it all about myself versus allowing the opportunity for explanation or just to say, well, what's going on with you? Getting curious enough to figure out what was the deeper, real reason why he stopped communicating. I just automatically assumed it had everything or at least something to do with me. And that just wasn't the case. The fourth thing that I had to unlearn was boundaries. Boundaries don't keep the other person from you that's supposed to be in your life. Boundaries are essential. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. Boundaries help you to stop being drained. Boundaries allow you to just be you. Boundaries allow that downtime, that me time, that solitude. Boundaries. I remember when I started to enforce my boundaries. One of my boundaries when I started dating again was you couldn't call me past 10 p.m. And I remember standing on that boundary. And now, if we were already on the phone or something like that, obviously that's not you calling me. It just happened to bleed over into the time. But you just thinking about me and just reaching out past 10 p.m. was an absolute no for me. And when I started to say this as well as enforce this, I just felt so proud of myself. Like this very simple thing, being able to say no when being able to say no when I didn't want to do something, being able to stand firm on my boundaries are so essential, and it has kept me at so much peace. But I had to unlearn that you don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to be available all the time. And the truth of the matter is this: if you are available all the time, Marshawn, you will not be cherished and seen as somebody where when he is in your company that your time really matters, because it doesn't matter the time that he reaches out. It doesn't matter the time that he says, oh, I was just thinking about you on a Friday night at like 8 p.m. that you don't have to answer. And so establishing the boundaries was something that I struggled with. And then enforcing them was another whole ball game. Boundaries are essential in every facet of your life. I know that we're talking about a romantic partner, but I'm talking about your friendships. I'm talking about your sibling and familial relationships. I'm talking about the relationship at your job, the relationships at your job, including but not limited to your boss. Like every relationship, boundaries are essential, and you're going to feel that much better because I didn't feel like I was worthy enough. And now I understand I am enough. Not just worthy enough, I'm enough. Period. You're either going to follow the rules, i.e., the boundaries, or you're not. And it's okay if you don't, but I don't have to stand around for it. I don't have to keep allowing you to treat me in a way that I say is unacceptable for me. The other thing that I had to realize was that my skin. I had an issue because I was teased as a youngster up until about 20, somewhere around there when I left home, and nobody ever mentioned my skin. But by the time it was already ingrained in me that having dark skin was bad, it was seen as a bad thing. And so I had to recognize that me in my moments of insecurity when it came to my skin, that I was attracting low quality men because I was a low quality woman. I had to accept that fact. I had to accept the fact that, Marshawn, you don't think he saw your dark skin when he approached you or when he asked you out on a date. I had to change my beliefs about my dark skin and really accept who I was. But specifically, when it comes back to dating and men, I had to really understand that I needed to be um, more selective in my partners because I was leaning on, oh my God, I got dark skin, nobody's going to choose me. That was making me lean more toward just choosing whomever shows up, whoever says yes for the moment that day. And I just got tired of doing that. I needed to be more selective because I didn't realize I was showing up from an empty standpoint, right? A scarcity mindset, if you will, versus an abundant mindset, or even the mindset that I was able to utilize the discernment that God gave me. I didn't realize that I was not thinking about my core values at the time. I was not thinking about the lifestyle that I wanted with a partner. I was not thinking about how I was showing up at the time. I was not thinking about pretty much anything, what my non-negotiables were or anything like that. I was just like, okay, somebody's choosing me today. Thank you. Thank you. I'm about to be taken off the market. And sometimes that was true, but most of the time it wasn't. And I didn't realize that me being the red flag that I was why those things were occurring. So that's who I was years ago. And so now, where is Marshawn at? Well, now I have the beliefs, and my beliefs have absolutely changed about all of those things that I mentioned, all 5 areas. So I no longer struggle with clinginess. I understand me time and how essential it is. I understand that I am enough and I don't have to cling on to somebody else to feel like they are going to choose me. And so I no longer repel. Now I am a person that is in the seat of choice. Do I want to give my time, energy, and effort to this particular person? Are they meeting certain criteria for me to say yes to them? So clinginess is not something that I struggle with any longer. Also, with my dark skin and being more selective with partners, I no longer struggle with you got dark skin and he might not choose you. I realize, like I said earlier, he sees my dark skin when he approaches, right? I lean more into understanding that it was never about my dark skin ever. It was all about me and my beliefs about my dark skin. And that is what I had to start working on healing, affirming my skin, affirming that I am enough, and understanding that I don't have to do anything else but be. Show up, yes, of course. Be kind, be polite, state the things that I want, etc. But it was never about my skin, ever, ever. But that was something that I had to recognize and realize. Um, the other thing, let me see. Oh, gift giving. I don't give no more gifts. Definitely not for men that I'm dating. Now, here's the thing. I don't approve of giving gifts. I will give gifts. It's just the person needs to be in a mutual alignment with myself. And the core values that I mentioned that I was lacking before, we need to just be in alignment. So no longer am I trying to buy his love, try to buy him seeing me. It's either you're going to see me or you're not. How am I showing up now in order for you to make a decision. So I can give gifts, although I haven't given a gift in a really long time, um, because I'm being a lot more selective in the partner that I want to choose for the life that I want to live long term. And then finally, about being my partner's space and face all the time, I really had to recognize that me time is essential. I need me time. He needs me time. We all need me time, because that me time is going to help me to recharge, and as well as him. Going to help us both recharge. It's also a time for each of us to be able to reflect on the things that we want, not only for ourselves. Am I doing the thing that I said that I want to do? And what that looks like if I'm weak in that area. Reflecting on the relationship itself. What are some areas that we can work on, that we can be better in? What are some things that we're doing right to make sure that we go and applaud that? As well as my life, the life that I want. And not just going along with the flow because I have a fear of never being chosen again. If you heard me earlier, I'm now in my late 40s, and specifically 48. I'm okay with saying my age. But these life lessons I had to learn, I had to unlearn them, because they were not helping me to get to the next level in the relationship that I wanted to be a part of. And so if you have yet to add the area yourself in the comment section, what did you have to unlearn in order to be a part of a healthy relationship? I want to hear from you. Also, don't forget to go and check out if you are a walking red flag. I'll see you over there. Bye bye now.